Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rumi Forum. I don't know if you can hear me, but okay, wonderful. We're very happy to have you all with us this evening. We are here to celebrate a Ramadan Iftar meal with community leaders. And so we're very happy to have you with us. Ramadan is a time to come together. It's a time for family and friends to come together and have a meal together, to break bread together. It's a time of reflection. It's a time of prayer, time of contemplation. And we are actually into now our last days of Ramadan. It will be finishing next week. And so we're very, very happy that you are with us for this very special time during these last days. So, without further ado, and I believe, you know, it is very much time, I would really like to just hand it over to the video you will see on the screen, and it is the call to prayer. And this is how we know to break our fast and how we know when to pray necessarily. And so we have the call to prayer. And so you can see the translation of the words at the bottom of the screen in English. So with that, we'll begin.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La
I'd like to invite former Ambassador Edward Peck to come up and say a few words about the Rumi Forum and interfaith dialogue and the importance of this evening. Please welcome him.
Well, I am not only honored by this opportunity, but a little put off by the distinguished people I saw in your video. I had the great good fortune to be invited to take one of the trips to Turkey organized by the Rumi Forum. My wife and I had a very moving experience going to the schools, both lower education and higher education, and going to the newspapers, being entertained by and received by families who are active in the movement. And we came back thoroughly impressed with what the organization stands for. I am a retired diplomat. Diplomats, you'll forgive me, I have a very active sense of humor, which is not something to be proud of if you're a diplomat. But anyway, a diplomat, as you may know, is someone who can tell you to go to hell in a manner that makes you look forward to the trip. Okay. But diplomacy has its place, and that's what the Rumi Forum talks about. Talk to people, listen to people, don't express opinions, think. I have the great good fortune since I've retired to spend a fair portion of my time lecturing on cruise ships. It's a dirty job, but somebody has to do it. And I have worked up a series of lectures called Thinking About Our World, an effort to provoke thoughts, not people. Because most people that we deal with don't think. They have opinions, and they're not going to change their minds. So I always tell people that there's no reason in the world for you to agree with anything I tell you, but I'd just like to ask you to think about things, because most people don't do that. When I give my first lecture, I pulled from my pocket a piece of paper and I said, I have written authorization from the captain of this ship to ask you to think. Now, people won't do this to you very often, so to ease the shock and trauma, I will tell you when. Okay? Think. Optical illusion. Optical illusion. Raise your hand if in the last 72 hours you've experienced an optical illusion. Oh, good for you, sir. But anybody wearing glasses ought to have their hand up. Isn't that what this does? How about taking a photograph of the people really that small? A microscope, a telescope? Eyeglasses make things look clearer and closer, but they're not. That's an optical illusion. But when I say optical illusion, you think of the vase that looks like two people kissing, because you're not thinking about it. This works sometimes with some people. On occasion, especially if you're dealing with Americans and talking about the world, it's a little harder. I always introduce myself as a Middle East expert, and I say I can make that statement with some confidence because, unlike most Americans, I know where it is. Okay? And off in the Middle East, where the Rumi Foundation works, where Fethullah Gulen came from, that's a place that needs what they teach. Dialogue, tolerance, accepting other people's views. What an objective. What a task. How hard is that to do? I was quite interested a few months ago when the American government had a group of members of our Congress stand up and say, in Afghanistan and in Iraq, the parties must learn the importance of power sharing. Well, we're certainly the people to tell them about that, aren't we? You know? There's a certain level of arrogance here, I think, because our way is not only the right way, it's the only way. And if you don't agree, we'll show you just how right our way is. Tolerance, think of that. Open-mindedness, dialogue, listening, learning. What an objective. What a difficult, difficult task. I'm really very honored to be here, very gratified by it. When I went to Rumi's tomb, some of you may have been there, that is really a very, very impressive place to be. And to read some of the writings, some of the thoughts that Rumi had all those many centuries ago, and to find that there are people still pushing his noble ideas is very impressive, and I'm honored to have a chance to say a few words about it. Thank you very much.
Now I would like Dr. Faruk Taban to come and speak for a few minutes. He is with the American-Turkic Alliance. Please welcome him to the stage.
Hello, everyone. So I'm going to talk about tonight about our organization. Actually, this is a very new organization that we established, Turkic-American Alliance, just earlier this year. So basically, that's a parent organization. So Rumi Forum is one of our compound organizations in US. So this is a broader umbrella organization. We have about 180 institutions nationwide. So from Seattle to Miami, all over. And under that we have 6 councils or the federations. So basically that movement started like with the Turks or the Turkic people. When we mean the Turkic, we include the Central Asia and Balkans. So the people mostly moved like early 90s to US and having the cultural centers, dialogue centers, academician organization, business chambers, and when we mean the cultural centers, Turkish American Cultural Center, Azer American, the Kyrgyz American, so on and so forth. And when they established organizations, so they had the federations, thought that it would be very effective to reach out to people and the advocating the mission being making bridges, so having kind of a common ground for the cultures, and so that's established. And earlier this year, as I said, so we just moved into our new location by the Union Station. So don't be surprised. So we'll be sending some invitations, some of our the panels, seminars, and we have similar activities. So so that's what I want to take much of your time. Is the best talk usually the shortest. So I'm gonna just cut it. So thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
And now finally, I would like to, before we of course move into the other room where Turkish coffee and Turkish goodies and delights are waiting for us, before we move over into the other room, I would like to ask our president, our lovely president, Mr. Emre Çelik, to come up and say a few words before we pass over to the other side. Please welcome him.
Yes, passing over to the other side, I think she implies that we move to the room next door, particularly in reference to what the ambassador said. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, good evening. Welcome once again. It is an honor to be a part of the Rumi Forum. It is a humbling experience because I get to meet so many beautiful, nice people like your good selves. I'm also honored that you're able to sacrifice from your time and come and spend this evening with us. Ramadan is very important for numerous reasons. The concept of course, selflessness and sacrifice, of empathy, of that first morsel of food and that first drop of water. We're able to realize what it means for those people that are less fortunate. Of course, of worship, of reflection upon the Creator. But one aspect that is very important, beyond the personal experience, beyond the spiritual and religious commitment that Muslims attest to and implement during this 30-day long period, is the importance, of course, of being social, of inviting people to share, as we have today, within our homes, within our institutions, to share in a meal. A very important tradition, an Abrahamic tradition. A rabbi once told me of the story of Prophet Abraham, in that he had set up his tent at the crossroads of two roads, so that no matter who passed by would enter his home to sit and to dine with Abraham. And so much so is Abraham important in the Muslim tradition that many of our supplications, our asking, our requesting from the Almighty, ask for the blessedness of Abraham and his blessed divine table. And similarly, along that line, of course, it is considered that Abraham is a spiritual and religious forefather for all of us. And in that tradition, I welcome each and every one of you once again, and thank you for your presence. Though not as diplomatic as our former speaker, and not in the same vein as the words he used, I would ask you to go to heaven, and hopefully with 1,000-fold motivation than the ambassador had implied. Thank you once again. Have a blessed and prosperous evening, and I look forward to continuing the dialogue with each and every one of you. Thank you once again.